What if one day everything you worked so hard to achieve suddenly lost its meaning? What if the wealth, power, and status you once chased no longer brought you joy, but instead left you feeling empty and exhausted? This is the story of Julian Mantle, a successful, high-profile lawyer whose life seemed perfect from the outside. He was wealthy, influential, and admired. But behind the polished image, he was a man drowning in stress, consumed by the pressures of his relentless pursuit of success. And then, one day, his world shattered. In the middle of a packed courtroom, Julian collapsed. His heart and his spirit could no longer bear the weight of his lifestyle. That moment changed everything. What followed was a journey of transformation. Julian vanished from the world he once ruled. He sold everything, including his prized red Ferrari, and embarked on a spiritual quest to the Himalayas. There, he encountered the sages of Sivana, an ancient community of monks who had unlocked the secrets to lasting happiness, purpose, and fulfillment. What did Julian learn? How did he transform his life? And more importantly, how can you apply these lessons in your own life? In this audiobook summary, we will explore the 7 profound principles that Julian discovered, lessons that will guide you toward inner peace, success, and a life truly worth living. Stay with me as we uncover these timeless secrets that could change the way you think, work, and experience happiness forever. I was stunned, completely shocked. The man who once commanded the courtroom with his powerful arguments, who had built a reputation as one of the country's finest lawyers, was now lying, collapsed on the floor of a packed courtroom. Julian Mantle, a legal genius known for his relentless work ethic and luxurious lifestyle, was now trembling on the ground. The same man whose name was synonymous with success and prestige was struggling for his life. Despite everyone's frantic attempts to help him, nothing seemed to work. I sat there in disbelief, thinking, no, this can't be happening. He can't die like this. How could a man who lived life on his own terms, who carved his destiny with sheer determination and skill, fall so helplessly? Someone who built an empire of success with his brilliance and tireless efforts, how could he collapse so suddenly? I had known Julian Mantle for 17 years. From the moment I started working at his law firm, I was drawn into his world. Over time, we developed a close bond, and I came to understand him better than most. But now, looking at him lying there, I couldn't reconcile this image with the man I once knew. 17 years ago, Julian was unstoppable. His eyes burned with intensity, as if the world itself depended on him. He controlled every situation, shaped every outcome to his advantage. It was his way or nothing. I must have had something special in me, too. Otherwise, why would he have chosen me out of all the bright minds in the firm? I was just an ordinary young lawyer, fresh out of Harvard Law School, with no background in the cunning world of legal battles, yet he saw something in me. Working with Julian was an honor. He projected strength and authority, but beneath that powerful exterior was a deeply emotional and sensitive soul. He had a childlike innocence hidden beneath layers of worldly ambition. His life seemed perfect, an opulent mansion, a gleaming red Ferrari, and a reputation envied by many, but something was missing. Despite having everything, an unspoken emptiness consumed him, a silent struggle that no one dared to question. His hunger for success was endless, as if he was chasing something he could never truly grasp. What was it that Julian sought? Why did he never seem satisfied? Even in his 40s, he looked much older. The constant burden of his lifestyle had drained him. His laughter had become rare. I still remember the moments when he confided in me, about his exhaustion. He admitted that the passion he once had for law had faded, and now here he was, collapsed on the floor from a heart attack. It was as if fate had intervened, forcing him to confront the truth about his life. Julian had once dreamed of becoming a lawyer to help others, to fight for justice. But along the way, that noble purpose had been lost. The pursuit of wealth and prestige had replaced his original mission. The emptiness within him wasn't just about exhaustion. It was something deeper, something he had hidden from the world. I had always sensed there was a secret buried within Julian's past. Before I joined the firm, something had happened, an event so profound that it changed him completely. No one ever spoke about it, as if it was a forbidden topic, but now none of that mattered. My dear friend, my mentor, was lying unconscious before me, and, just like always, I could do nothing to help. Without Julian, the firm felt crippled. His absence left a void that no one could fill, and an emergency meeting was called immediately. What was said in that meeting shook me to my core. The first announcement confirmed what we all feared. Julian Mantle had suffered a severe heart attack, and his condition remained critical. But it was the next words that echoed in my mind for years to come. It is with deep regret that I inform you, Julian Mantle has decided to leave our firm permanently. I always believed that I knew Julian better than anyone else, but perhaps I had only scratched the surface. I was aware that the weight of his life had begun to feel unbearable, but I never imagined he would walk away so suddenly. Yet it was true. One of the greatest legal minds in the country had chosen to give up his career forever. 3 years have passed since that day. All I know about Julian now is that he sold his magnificent mansion and his beloved red Ferrari before leaving for India in search of inner peace, perhaps in pursuit of answers to the deeper questions of his life. These 3 years have changed me too. I've come to understand the importance of family, of slowing down in life, and of cherishing the moments that truly matter. And yet, just when I thought life had settled into its routine, it had another surprise waiting for me. One day, a young man, no older than 30, walked into my office. I was usually too busy to meet visitors, but something about him was different. His presence radiated a rare sense of peace, something I had never seen in anyone before. There was a glow on his face, a quiet confidence that made him stand out. I was still trying to comprehend why I was so drawn to him when he spoke, his voice calm yet firm. "Do you treat all your guests this way, even the one who once taught you the tricks of the courtroom?" His words sent a chill down my spine. My mind reeled. No, it couldn't be. Julian? Was it really him? I could hardly believe my eyes. The man standing before me looked nothing like the Julian Mantle I once knew. This was someone entirely different, someone transformed. A rush of emotions surged within me. How was this even possible? How could a man who had been exhausted, burdened, and lost just a few years ago now stand before me, looking younger, more vibrant, almost enlightened? It took me a moment to process the truth, but there he was, a changed Julian Mantle, standing in front of me, radiating an aura so powerful that even an angel would feel humbled in his presence. His voice had softened, carrying a soothing, honey-like warmth. His eyes, once weary and filled with ambition, now shone with clarity and purpose. His entire being exuded an undeniable serenity. What had Julian done in these past 3 years that had made him unrecognizable? Once again, Julian Mantle had managed to astonish me. What had he found in the Himalayan mountains that transformed him so completely? Had he discovered some mystical elixir of life? Was there a secret spring of youth hidden in those towering peaks? The man who once looked exhausted, burdened by life's weight, now radiated an almost divine energy. It was hard to believe he was the same person. Where had he been for the past 3 years? What had he done to bring about such an incredible change? Questions swirled in my mind, but before I could ask, it was as if Julian had already read them through my eyes. With a calm, yet firm voice, he admitted that he had been living a life of illusion. He had strayed far from the path of true happiness and meaningful success. After his heart attack, doctors warned him that his relentless hunger for achievement was killing him. That was the moment Julian made the biggest decision of his life, the decision to choose life itself. A newfound excitement filled his voice as he spoke about selling his mansion and his beloved red Ferrari, leaving everything behind to embark on a journey to India. He described his travels with the enthusiasm of a child, recounting the breathtaking landscapes and simple village life where people lived in harmony with nature. I was thrilled to see Julian smiling again, truly enjoying life in a way he never had before. During his travels, he had heard about the legendary Indian monks, men who had mastered the art of controlling their minds and bodies, defying age itself. Some of these monks had attained incredible wisdom, far beyond ordinary human understanding. My shock deepened when Julian revealed that he had spent time living among them, learning from sages who taught the essence of life without expecting anything in return. But what he said next shook me to my core. While wandering through the valleys of Kashmir, Julian encountered a remarkable yogi. Like Julian, this yogi had once been a successful lawyer, but had abandoned worldly attachments to embrace a life of spiritual wisdom. The yogi shared a secret with him. Far beyond the mountains of Kashmir, hidden deep within the Himalayas, lay a mystical village known as Sivana, home to the most enlightened monks in existence. These sages had unlocked ancient knowledge that could nourish both the body and the soul. But there was a catch. Ordinary people could not simply find Sivana. It was a place of legend, concealed from the outside world. At that moment, Julian knew what he had to do. Without hesitation, he set out on his greatest journey yet, the search for Sivana. At the first light of dawn, his quest began. Initially, the journey was manageable, but as time passed, the challenges intensified. The paths grew treacherous, the cold bit into his bones, and even food and water became scarce. Yet Julian pressed on, climbing through the vast and breathtaking Himalayan ranges, alone in his pursuit. I hesitated before asking, "Wasn't it difficult to leave behind everything you once built?" Julian's response was calm, yet profound. Letting go wasn't the hardest part. It was the easiest, because in return, I found something far greater: true peace. For days he wandered through the Himalayas, pushing his body to its limits. But eventually, exhaustion took over. His strength gave way, and as he collapsed on the icy ground, his past life flashed before his eyes. Doubts crept in. What am I doing here? Will I ever find what I'm looking for? Just as he was about to lose consciousness, a vision appeared before him. In that desolate, uncharted wilderness, the presence of another human seemed impossible. Yet, standing before Julian was a figure cloaked in deep red robes. Gathering the last of his strength, Julian called out for help. As the figure turned to face him, Julian was overcome with awe. There was something extraordinary about this being. His presence exuded a divine energy unlike anything Julian had ever encountered. At that moment, he knew this was one of the monks of Sivana. The monk regarded Julian with a knowing gaze before asking a single question. Why do you seek the monks of Sivana?" Julian poured out his entire story, revealing his struggles, his quest for meaning, and his desperate need for answers. After listening intently, the monk finally made an offer, but it came with a condition. "I will take you to Sivana, but on one condition. Whatever wisdom you gain, you must share it with the world. You must use this knowledge to help those in need." From that moment on, Julian's purpose was no longer just about himself. His journey had a new mission, to transform not only his own life, but to inspire and guide others toward a better way of living. Julian finally felt a sense of peace as he followed the sage deeper into the mountains. The journey to the mysterious land of Sivana had begun. For hours they walked through twisting and treacherous paths, crossing rugged terrain and winding trails. Then, suddenly, the landscape changed. Before them lay a breathtaking valley, surrounded by the towering peaks of the Himalayas on one side and dense cedar forests on the other. The sheer beauty of this place was beyond imagination. It felt untouched, almost sacred. And then, at last, the moment Julian had been waiting for arrived. The sage turned to him and said, "Welcome to Sivana." They continued walking through the valley, following a trail that led through a lush forest. The air was thick with the scent of sandalwood and pine, the melodies of chirping birds filling the atmosphere with an enchanting rhythm. It felt as if nature itself was alive, welcoming him into a world untouched by chaos and worry. If there was ever a paradise on earth, this had to be it. As they moved deeper into the valley, a sight unlike any other unfolded before Julian's eyes. Sivana. Nestled amidst blooming rose gardens, the village looked like something out of a dream. At its center stood a magnificent temple, radiating an aura of deep wisdom and serenity. The entire village was inhabited by monks, each one exuding an unshakable sense of joy and inner peace. Their faces glowed with contentment, their smiles free of the burdens of stress or sorrow. It was as if the very concept of worry did not exist in this sacred land. Had these people never known struggle, or had they simply discovered a secret the rest of the world had long forgotten? As Julian spent more time in this place, he felt something awaken deep within him, a sense of clarity, a longing to truly live again. Somewhere along the relentless pursuit of success, he had lost the ability to experience life's simplest joys. But here, surrounded by the wisdom of Sivana, he felt as though he had finally found what he had been searching for all along. This was not just a new journey. It was the beginning of an entirely new life. As Julian shared his extraordinary journey, time seemed to slip away. Morning had turned into evening without me even realizing it. For a moment, it felt as though I, too, had traveled with him through the towering Himalayas, witnessing the same breathtaking landscapes and experiencing the same profound transformations. But beyond his story, it was him, the new Julian, that truly captivated me. There was something about his presence, his peace, that drew me in. A part of me longed to experience the same deep fulfillment, to know what it felt like to be truly at peace. Yet, reality called me back. I had a court hearing the next day, and my responsibilities could not wait. But Julian's words, his unfinished story, had struck something deep within me. He had unknowingly held up a mirror to my own life, making me realize how much of myself I had lost. I, too, had once found joy in life's smallest moments. But now, I couldn't even remember the last time I felt that childlike happiness. Sensing my intrigue, Julian continued his story. The sages of Sivana had welcomed him into their community with open arms. They saw his sincere thirst for knowledge and embraced him as one of their own. Julian immersed himself in their way of life, dedicating every moment, mind and body, to the wisdom they shared. The teachings of these monks were not learned from books, but acquired through years of deep meditation, discipline, and spiritual awakening, and they were willing to share everything they knew with him, without hesitation, without conditions. Sitting among them, Julian engaged in profound discussions about life, the mind, and the true meaning of happiness. Slowly, he began to understand how to quiet the restless thoughts that had plagued him for years. As the days, weeks, and months passed, he felt an undeniable transformation. Within just 3 weeks in Sivana, something shifted inside him. He began to appreciate the simplest things: a spider weaving its web, the brilliance of the stars in the dark sky. The peace he had chased for years in the material world, he now found in these seemingly ordinary moments. In a matter of months, he experienced a profound serenity, something he had never felt even in the height of his success. In that sacred place, Julian discovered the true value of life. He realized that his purpose was no longer about accumulating wealth or power, but about using his knowledge to help others. With a gentle smile, he shared a simple yet powerful truth. We must first nourish our minds and souls. Only then can we truly live our lives and chase our dreams. And then suddenly, Julian stood up. It was time for him to leave. My office hours had ended, and despite my pleas for him to stay longer, he refused. You, and everyone in this world, deserve the wisdom I have received. I promise you, I will share it with you. With that, Julian walked out of my office. But even after he had left, his presence lingered. I sat there, lost in thought, feeling as though my entire world had just expanded. How small had my life become? When had I lost the wonder and innocence I once had as a child? And for the first time, a strange thought crossed my mind. What if one day, just like Julian, I, too, left everything behind in search of something greater? With that thought lingering in my heart, I stepped out of my office and into the blazing sun, walking forward toward my own unknown journey. Just as he had promised, Julian arrived at my home that evening. The moment I opened the door, I was taken aback. He stood before me, dressed in a deep red robe, unlike anything I had ever seen him wear before. The entire day I had struggled to focus on my work, eager to hear the rest of his incredible story. And now, here he was, ready to reveal the mysteries he had uncovered. Without wasting any time, Julian began unraveling the truths he had learned. But even as I listened, a strange doubt lingered in my mind. Was this really the same Julian Mantle, the brilliant, Harvard-educated lawyer who once thrived on high-stakes legal battles? Had he truly renounced everything? A part of me wondered if he was simply playing a trick on me. Sensing my hesitation, Julian smiled knowingly. Without saying a word, he picked up a teapot and began pouring tea into a small cup. I watched as the tea filled to the brim, and then started spilling over the edges. Yet, Julian didn't stop. My patience wore thin. "What are you doing? The cup is already full. It can't hold any more tea." Julian looked up and smiled. "Exactly. Just as this cup can't hold more tea, your mind is already overflowing with its own beliefs and doubts. If you want to learn something new, you must first empty your mind." His words struck me like lightning. As soon as my skepticism faded, Julian began sharing what he had learned from the sages of Sivana, the greatest and most profound lesson of his life. It was a lesson hidden within a story. Closing his eyes, as if transported back to the Himalayas, Julian urged me to do the same. "Imagine this," he began. "You find yourself in a magnificent garden, lush, green, and filled with the most vibrant flowers you have ever seen. Everything is peaceful, calm. Time itself seems to slow down, allowing you to soak in the serenity of this beautiful place. And then, suddenly, you notice something peculiar. A towering red lighthouse standing right in the middle of the garden. Before you can make sense of it, the silence is shattered. A loud crash echoes through the garden. As a door bursts open, out walks a massive sumo wrestler, dressed in nothing but a thin wire loincloth. He begins wandering aimlessly through the garden, seemingly lost. As he moves forward, his foot accidentally lands on an ancient golden stopwatch buried beneath the grass. The moment he touches it, he collapses to the ground, motionless, unconscious. Minutes pass. Then suddenly, he inhales deeply. His senses awaken, and the first thing he notices is the fragrant scent of blooming roses in the air. Revitalized, he rises to his feet, looking around with newfound awareness. As he surveys his surroundings, he spots a narrow path through the bushes. The path is covered in dazzling diamonds, glistening in the sunlight. Without hesitation, the sumo wrestler steps forward, following the path into the unknown until he disappears from sight. I open my eyes, staring at Julian in disbelief. What kind of bizarre story is this? You traveled all the way to the Himalayas just to hear this? I asked, unable to contain my skepticism. Julian chuckled. That's exactly what I asked the sage when he first told me this story. But then his expression grew serious. What I failed to see at the time, and what you are overlooking now, is that hidden within this story are the 7 timeless principles of life. At that moment, I realized the real lesson was about to begin. Julian took a deep breath and said, "Hidden within the story I just told you are the 7 most powerful principles of life." I listened intently as he began unraveling these lessons, one by one. The first principle, master your mind. The garden in the story represents your mind, Julian explained. If you nurture your mind, tend to it with care, and fill it with positive thoughts, it will flourish beyond your imagination. But if you allow negativity and self-doubt to take root, your inner world will become a wasteland of stress and unhappiness. Just as a gardener carefully plants seeds and removes weeds, you must consciously choose which thoughts you allow to grow in your mind. The more you cultivate optimism and gratitude, the more you will experience inner peace and fulfillment. The second principle, follow your purpose. The lighthouse in the story symbolizes the guiding force of life, our purpose. Just as a lighthouse helps sailors navigate through the dark waters, having a clear purpose directs us toward our goals. Knowing what we truly want in life and moving toward it with unwavering determination is our most important responsibility. Even if success takes time, a strong sense of purpose will keep us on course. But passion alone is not enough. To stay committed, we need 5 key practices. 1. Visualize the end goal. Clearly, you picture your dreams and the rewards that await you. This vision will fuel your motivation. 2. Create positive pressure. Hold yourself accountable to stay committed to your journey. 3. Set a deadline. A goal without a timeline is just a wish. Define when you will achieve it. 4. Write down your goals. Keep a record of your aspirations and read them daily to stay focused. 5. The magic rule of 21. Commit to your new habit for 21 days straight. Once it becomes routine, success will follow effortlessly. The third principle, Kaizen, the power of continuous growth. The sumo wrestler in the story represents a Japanese philosophy known as Kaizen, which means constant learning and self-improvement. Just like a sumo wrestler maintains discipline to achieve peak performance, we too must cultivate discipline in our lives. Hard work is essential, but true success comes from consistent self-refinement. Challenges will come, obstacles will arise, but those who overcome fear and embrace growth will never truly fail. The fourth principle, the power of small habits. The sumo's loincloth, made of a thin wire, holds a deeper lesson. A single wire may seem fragile, but when woven together, it forms a strong and unbreakable thread. Similarly, life's greatest transformations come from small but powerful daily habits. Waking up early, eating healthy, practicing gratitude, these may seem insignificant on their own, but over time, they shape the person we become. Every positive habit, no matter how small, contributes to a greater purpose. The fifth principle, respect your time. The golden stopwatch in the story represents time, our most valuable asset. Rich or poor, everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between success and mediocrity lies in how we use them. Procrastination is the enemy of progress. Time management isn't about working nonstop, but about balancing our work, relationships, and personal well-being. If we don't honor our time, it will slip away, never to return. The sixth principle, the joy of selfless giving. The fragrance of the roses that revived the sumo symbolizes kindness and service to others. There's an old Chinese proverb, those who give flowers always carry their fragrance on their hands. True fulfillment isn't found in material success, but in making a difference in the lives of others. That is why the world's most successful people engage in charity and acts of kindness. They understand that real wealth lies in giving. When we help without expecting anything in return, the joy it brings is beyond words. The seventh principle, live in the present. Finally, the path of scattered diamonds represents the beauty of life's small moments. Most people waste their lives either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. In doing so, they forget to enjoy the present, the only moment that truly exists. Happiness isn't something to chase. It's something to recognize in the little things. A cup of tea with a friend, a quiet walk in nature, the laughter of loved ones. Success should never come at the cost of joy. The path you walk, no matter how ambitious, must allow you to experience life along the way. Julian paused, looking at me with a calm yet powerful gaze. These 7 principles transformed my life, he said, and now they are yours to embrace. Julian Mantle's journey was not just about personal transformation, it was about discovering the true essence of life. Through the teachings of the sages of Sivana, he learned that success is not measured by what we own, but by how deeply we live. Each of the 7 principles he uncovered holds the power to transform our lives. Master your mind, because your thoughts shape your reality. Follow your purpose. A clear vision will lead you to true success. Embrace continuous learning. Growth is the key to mastery. Cultivate powerful habits. Small daily improvements lead to extraordinary results. Respect your time. Use every moment wisely, for time is life's most precious gift. Give selflessly. The greatest joy comes from helping others. Live in the present, because happiness is not a destination, but the journey itself. These lessons are not just for Julian. They are for all of us. Now ask yourself, how will you apply these principles? How will you ensure that your life is filled with meaning, joy, and purpose? Remember, Knowledge is only powerful when it is applied. It's not enough to simply understand these lessons. You must live them. If this audiobook summary inspired you, let me know which lesson resonated with you the most. And if you found value in this, like, share, and subscribe, because wisdom, when shared, has the power to change lives. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember, the richest life is not the one with the most possessions, but the one with the most fulfillment.